Now you're welcome back to the Polity on Kaftan Television. I'm still in the studios with Barrister Adewole Adebayo, the lead speaker for NCFront where it comes to poverty eradication. And of course, it's been a very interesting conversation in the past 1.5 hours. Barrister Adebayo, I'd like you to respond quickly to the point that the last caller raised. He talked about the issue of division in Nigeria. Without a doubt, a lot of people are not even interested in elections, where as far as Nigeria is concerned, they just want the country to be united. I know you spoke about what the NCFront is doing where it comes to consultation and trying to resolve, but I mean, a whole lot of Nigerians do not even know yet. So please, I'd like you to respond to that last caller.
The gentleman asked a valid question, but the question relates to old politics. If you do an opinion poll, which we do regularly, and you ask someone who is in Zaria what are his concerns? His concerns are not where the president comes from. That's elitist problem. If you ask someone who's in Yanagoa, who is having oil pollution and problems, he's not concerned about where the president comes from. That is true in Ibadan, that is true in Zungeru, that is true in any part of the country. That's true in Enugu. That is true wherever you go, wherever. Mention any part of the country. What people care about, one, is when are we going to have a country that is safe and secure, free from banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery, and all other violence? Number one. Number two, why should 3 square meal be a prayer point in a country like this? Why is it that I cannot get a gainful job? When I get a job, how come I'm not being paid living wages? And when I manage to get some money, why is it that the money is not even enough for me to run a small family and live in dignity? Now, the idea of where the president comes from and all of that, nobody among them speak for the North. No, ask me who is the spokesperson for the North. The spokesperson for the North is hungry. Majority of the North is hungry. They are homeless. They are challenged. Who speaks for the West? Is it the people who are forming themselves into small vigilante and running after how to find non-governmental solution to their problems that you will say someone is speaking for? The governors, when they speak, they do not speak for their states, and they do not speak for the people of the state. They speak for their power, which is about to be taken from them or modified one way or the other. So these people who are causing division, they're wasting their time. They are friends. The people who speak for the North, quote and unquote, the North, they will soon board a plane and go to the South and fraternize with their fellow governors and fellow politicians and enjoy themselves. Same thing the other way around. Someone say I'm a spokesperson for the South and this and that. It's all nonsense. They're all trying to get attention for themselves. That's why you see them, 1 minute they say, oh, we're not going to accept the North. Next minute they'll say, Buhari is the best president in the world. So these are the trade-offs that they do among themselves. But when you go around and see Nigerians united together, they will be discussing the price of rice. They will be discussing supply chain of food. They will be discussing insecurity. They are in a vehicle traveling together. They are all praying. The Muslim will pray, Christian will pray, another person will pray for safe journey, how they are not going to be gunned down by bandits or kidnapped. And when a school is invaded by kidnappers, Muslim, Christian, North, South, everybody is affected. So don't be deceived about the discussion about power rotation. That's not the stuff that we gather around and discuss in NCF. We know it's all a smoke screen. What we are discussing now is that the power is not with the people. And the exchange is not from one region to another. It's a historic exchange of power from the small elite that are oppressing the people and give the power back to the people. When the power is with the people, you will see the priority of the people coming to the focus. Right now, the priority of the elite is how to rotate this thing among themselves. So when somebody says the power should go to the south, he has a friend or a master or a person who has given a client who has given a contract in the south that he's making that argument in favor of. When someone says the power should remain in the north or whatever, he has a candidate who is funding him and is supporting him and is telling him what to say that. But at the end of the day, when they meet among themselves, they will just announce that we are all working for this person. So don't get carried away by that age-long method of organizing themselves to remain perpetually in power. What we are trying to do here is to ensure that democracy has a meaning in this country, and that the government you elect comes from the people. And the way the government can come from the people is for the people to control the political party from which the president is going to come, to control the electoral process that is going to produce the president, to see that you are not shouting like we did in 2015, save Buhari, but the person buying the fuel for his campaign, the person buying his form, the person sponsoring his advertisement, the person organizing this thing for him is the same person you don't want to see. So it's like armed robbers going to rob a bank and come with the bank manager in front, but they put a gun to his back. And the people say, oh, the bank manager said we should open the bank, but the armed robbers are directing what to say. It's like somebody trying to rob a church and comes with the Monsignor or the priest, or somebody wants to rob a mosque and comes with the chief imam. And people say, our chief imam is coming, but actually it's armed robbers that are putting gun behind. So we want to now go straight to the people and say, have a president that when you announce his name, people say, what? Because he's not one of those people who have stationed themselves and settled themselves to continuously grip the jugular of the masses. And Nigerians have to have a mental shift, that your president will not come in the name of the north or the south or the east or the west or of the south or north central. It will come in the name of the people. It will come the way Aminu Kano came. It will come the way Barabe Musa came. It will come in that light. And when he comes, north will dissolve, east will dissolve, west will dissolve, north central will dissolve, south will dissolve. All of these division and smoke screen will be wiped away by the wind of change. And that person, when he stands and speaks, it is Nigeria speaking. All of these divisions don't matter to us. The person who is coming to serve the people will come in the name of the Lord and will serve the people. It will not come in the name of any division. But when the person is telling you it is his turn, it is my time, you know that that person is coming for darkness. Because the person who is coming to lead Nigeria knows that the villa, the presidential villa, is a house of sorrow. It's a place where you are going to wipe tears. That when you are in the villa and a tanker catches fire in any part of the country, it's as if the villa itself has caught fire. When the president wants to put food in his mouth, before he swallows that food, he will ask, has every child in this country eaten this night? If he wants to go to bed, he will ask, are there people who are being marauded, harassed, pushed aside, and kept awake in this country because they cannot sleep? When your president is sleeping with a generator, he knows that there is darkness in the land, but he is repairing his generator and bringing generator every day. When a president is flying abroad for treatment, when he doesn't have a big enough plane to fly 200 million people with him, he will know that he has job to do. When a president cannot walk freely and go around the country, and he has to use a battalion to go from one place to another, he will now know what people are going through. That is the president you should be looking for. Not a president who will be telling you stories about some injury in the past and how it is his turn. And why do people say it's their turn? They say it's their turn because I help somebody come in. So it's your turn to help me back. We Nigerian people are not part of that alliance. And the person you help to come in, how has he helped us? Why should we not be part? Why should you use us to pay a political debt? Are we part of that political transaction? What the government will want is a government of water, light, food, housing. Fela used these things to sing. That what happens to them, waiting to them, water, light, food, housing. That is what we want to hear. Are you telling me that the man who is hungry and is in the desert in Zamfara now, who cannot go to his farm to harvest, he's asking you the local government or where the president is going to come from?
Mr. Adewole, now all that you have presented so far is quite impeccable, I must say. But I still need to let you know that in Nigeria, distrust has been created by the way and manner the existing politicians have governed this country for the past 22 years since the reintroduction of democracy. And then the mantra, you know, the popular mantra, the devil you know is better than the angel you don't, is one that Nigerians do hold dearly. So I want to ask you, now you have mentioned quite a number of names, and you know, these names probably are not the names that you find on the ballot papers in the last many years. Many of them are not. So how do you intend to tackle the challenge of distrust from the Nigerian people? You know, a lot of people have come, like you mentioned earlier, you know, President Muhammadu Buhari appeared on the scene like a messiah that was going to, you know, resolve all the problems that were on ground. But I mean, the fact that now speaks for itself as to his performance in office. Whether he desired not to, whether the political atmosphere didn't allow him, well, all of that is now left for Nigerians to find out by themselves. But my question is, a distrust has been created, and anyone that appears now will have to bear this brunt. How do you intend to actually win the trust of the Nigerian people?
We don't have a problem winning the trust of the Nigerian people. We are the Nigerian people ourselves. We trust ourselves. And we are not part of the fiasco of what Nigerians have suffered. In 2015, when Muhammadu Buhari was presented, it is not enough. You cannot say this is a Catholic church. If the Pope is coming and is coming with people who are bearing guns and who are robbing you before, you know that if he himself, that Pope, has been kidnapped by somebody. You cannot say your son has gone abroad and is coming home, and is coming home with armed robbers, and they are taking strategic position in your house. You know that maybe something happened along the way. So it is not one. Nigeria cannot be saved by one man. It is the coalition of people, and you have to look at everyone and say, what have I got to lose? Do you think Pat Utomi will come and lie to you? What has he got to gain? What has OBS to gain by lying to you? What has Tanko Unisa to gain by lying to you? What do I have to gain by lying to you? What do I want? These are people who have nothing to lose and nothing to gain other than the goodness of the country. So you have to look at our pedigree. What have we done before? Are we part of the problem? So the problem, don't look at 2015. Buhari came in company of looters and liars. And he thought that, okay, when I get in, I will eliminate them first, and then I will serve the people. That was why he couldn't form government for such a long time. Because to disarm, people who are more armed than you will take your life. So Nigerian people are not deceived. They know. Nigerians are not stupid. Politicians tend to assume, because they have enough money to pay journalists, to buy all the newspaper, to occupy the space, and they talk most of the time. They assume that this talk, empty talk that they are talking, people believe them. No, people don't believe them. People are just watching, waiting for a coordinated leadership to come out, and they will show them that your lies don't matter. And you can see from the lethargy that people show when elections come, that Nigerians have come to a point that, okay, these politicians, if we cannot get rid of them now, let's just be watching them like people in the zoo. Just be watching them. The way we watch animals in the zoo. When they want to vote, nobody will come out. They have to plan and gather a few people who are in need and give them money to bring them out. So they manage to bring 8% of the people. 92% of the people are waiting for the right time to come. So what I'm letting you know is that we do not have a trust deficit. There is nothing we are saying that you can say, oh, this wasn't what you were saying before. There's nothing we are doing which you will say, but this wasn't what you were doing before. There is nothing in us that you can see that says these people are looking for power in order to oppress anyone. We are just trying to fix our country. We wish we didn't have to do this. All I wanted in my life was to be a good citizen, a professional, and live a good life, write books, and end my life when God wants to end it. But we are looking around now that everyone who could speak is already cowed down. Everyone who could stand up and say, this is not right, is already a stakeholder in what is wrong. So, and the time has come. The people there have overstayed, and they are themselves quite tired. So, when are we going to come out and use the energy of our youth to run the affairs of our country? When are we going to labor for a country? Are we going to be singing labors of our heroes past? What happened to our heroes present? Will our heroes past also be the heroes past for our children? So we need to come forward now. That is why we are here. So there is no gap between us and the people. You should worry about what the establishment will want to do to us. That's what we are prepared for. But as for the people, we know where they are. We are not looking for people to follow us. We ourselves know where the people are going. We are only giving guidance. The people have left the establishment long ago. But Nigerians are a peaceful people. They do not believe in violence. If we were not a peaceful people, the people who are ruling us now would be long gone, long dead, long disappeared. But the people of Nigeria are peaceful, and they believe in God, that when the time comes, divine justice will come. Are you not hearing what they sing? They sing that thunder should fire them. Why are they saying that? Because they don't want to fire them. They say, okay, you have done enough evil in the land. Something from above is going to come and mysteriously free you, free us from you, and free your grip from the level of power. So when we come forward now, what Nigerians want to do is look at us, look at the energy, look at the consistency. They know how difficult it is to change the status quo. They have seen half measures in the past. They've seen people who come and they blend with the system. So they are watching. And once they know, and they are beginning to know, that we are determined, and that none of us is thinking of what he will do with his life tomorrow. We have the life today. If we lose it tomorrow, we really don't care that much. And we're having conversations with our family, with everyone, that this is a task that has to be done. There is no everything that could distinguish you as a Nigerian before and separate you from the problem. It's been taken away from you. You cannot say, well, I live well, I can buy a generator. But the bandit doesn't care about your generator. You cannot drive on the road. You can say, well, I'll fly. What of when you land? They are going to come to your house. People are losing prime members of their family. Generations are being wiped out. Commissioners are sitting down in their houses, are getting killed. People have children at home. Children come from abroad, they cannot go back. A lot of bad things are happening that make the elite and the middle classes, who ordinarily will say, well, we've taken care of ourselves, sorry for the people. They now know you have not taken care of yourself. What we are doing now guarantees the life of the president who is there now when he leaves office. Because when he leaves office, he will become an ordinary citizen. And he will now be facing what we are facing now. So whatever we do, this will be the last bad government in the history of Nigeria. And we are determined to come out and make it happen. And we are talking to the people. But let me tell you something. Do not underestimate the determination of Nigerian people. Not everybody can come on TV and be talking eloquently like this. But they are eloquent in their resolution. That this is going to be a turning point.
Barrister, you said a word of prayer, and I would say amen to that, that this is the last bad government we'll have in this country. But I'm quite worried, especially because just a few days ago on this program, we talked about corruption in Nigeria. And a lot of people, I'm sure you also do know, say that corruption is the reason why we have every problem we have in Nigeria. You talk about the economic problems, you talk about the insecurity challenges. I mean, all of the challenges you can put together. And this corruption, you know, seem to have become a culture. It seems to have become a way of life, even for the ordinary Nigerians. So how will the NCFront now tackle corruption from the roots, especially knowing that, like President Buhari said some time ago, that when you fight corruption, corruption will fight back. Knowing that it will always fight back, how do you intend to tackle it so that you can sift the weeds from the shaft?
Okay, let's start with President Buhari. Corruption is fighting back faster because he has corruption in the house. So he is fighting corruption mentally. He wishes to fight corruption. But he has set up the headquarters of the corruption inside the villa where he lives. So it's easy for the corruption to fight him back because they are inside with him there. So that is his own problem. And unfortunately for him, he's running out of time. If he can tackle that, he will be freer a bit to fight the corruption. He successfully fought more successfully in the past. When in his state house, in the Down Barracks, he didn't have corruption inside house. But now, he has corruption under the pillow. So he will be dreaming of that, and the nightmare that follows that. But for us, Nigerians are not corrupt. Nigerian leadership is corrupt.
Okay.
They have successfully stigmatized the country that we are corrupt. But I'm not saying this just to make Nigerians happy. I run organizations. I'm head of organizations, and I don't see corruption. I've run law firms now for more than 2 decades. I have not seen one infraction, maybe in the 20-something years, 1 or 2 mistakes. So when my employees, my colleagues in the law firm tell me something, I believe it. They are honest people. I run media houses, I run financial institutions, I run farms, I run things. I am not there. A majority of these people are conscientious and they are serious. Are they not Nigerians? So how is it possible for me to run islands and operations free of corruption? And someone tells me that Nigerians are corrupt. I do not buy it. 99% of what I own in this world are managed by people I do not see. Yet, I have not been robbed blind. So it is up to you, when you are constituting your government and you are constituting your advisors, to look for people who are in the interest of the country, and not say, this person has been my friend, we grew up together, so he must follow me to the state house. These are my family members. Let me accommodate them because the power is family business. Now, these are my classmates. Let me bring all of them to the government. That is where corruption starts from. When you want to run the affairs of the country, you must be able to snap your finger and set up 10 cabinets of incorruptibles without a sweat. That at any point in time you are woken up from your deep sleep and say, make a list of ministers now, permanent secretaries, directors now, and you can come up with that list within an hour. A majority of them, if not most of them, will be corruption free. That is when you are out to offer leadership. People set up churches, mosques, schools, institutions, and they are all flourishing. Go and ask many establishments you see today. How come MTN came with a bag, a portfolio, was one bag, and they are the largest telecom company, and Nigeria is the largest market? If there is corruption, how did they survive it? Dangote was selling cement at a time. Now he has the largest refinery, he has the largest the cement factories. They are run by Nigerians. Universities, so many other things we are running. Where are these things? You choose to have a conclave of armed robbers. It's like somebody who runs a beer parlor and smoke joint. You will say Nigerians drink and smoke because it's always surrounded by drinkers and smokers. It's like whatever you do, you are consuming that microcosm of where you are. If you go to a boxing ring, everybody is a fighter. But majority of people don't fight, they don't know how to box. So wherever you go, every Nigerian has his own Nigeria, surrounding himself with his own Nigeria that he creates. For those who specialize in searching out for where Nigerian money is, looking for means and methods to share the money among themselves, everything is about corruption. But for Nigerians who till daily, if the Nigerians are corrupt, why do you find bus conductor running 100 kilometers per hour from morning to night just to take 2,000 naira home to feed his family? Why is he doing that? Why do you have people carrying 2 bags of yam on their head and walking 10 kilometers to and fro to the farm? If corruption is what they are looking for. Do you find that the person who's a cobbler, who carries his tool and walks the street, or is looking for who to rob? Nigerians are hardworking people, and I don't even want to talk about overseas. Why Nigerians go overseas and win the award and win everything? So what happened to them? When they enter the plane, they give them a new brain. So Nigerians are there. One hallmark of failure is that failure wants company. So a person who is robbing you blind will say, well, if you remove me, every other person will be like me. That's not true. The person who is not performing will tell you, well, if you remove me, the next person will not even perform. That is why PDP is going to, they are very happy. Because when in 2015, Nigeria removed PDP from power, they all went quiet. They became ashamed. They knew they had ruined the country. But when they saw the way Buhari's government is flourishing, they said, thank God. Now, people will not blame us. A second failure has joined us. So we are now equal. So they will choose between one failure or another. NCFront said no. Two of you will carry your failure to the corner. We will set up a government that works. And when you see that government, even though you'll be ashamed at the beginning, you'll be grateful at the end. That this government is here to secure your life and property, give you prosperity, give you unity. Things we should not be discussing in this country are the things we're discussing.
Mr. Adewole, are you aware, as we speak, of how much the NCFront has to do? Currently, talking about how much loans, the country is into across the world, borrowing from everywhere. We are neck deep in debt. And if perchance the Nigerian people actually gives the NCFront the opportunity of leadership, you will be inheriting, a high portfolio of debt that you will have to settle. And beyond the debt, like a lot of persons have said, that the terms and conditions, that are behind the borrowings of these loans, which are not clear to the Nigerian people. Are you aware that you are going to be inheriting a box, of debt and some legal issues to settle with the international community when it comes to the loans, that have been acquired in this country? How do you intend to tackle that?
That's easy. That's not a problem. You are having these problems, they look big because there's no government in place. There's no competent government in place. That all Nigeria debt put together is less than 8% of untapped money inside the country. So it's not, look at Obasanjo, he's not your paragon of excellence and the greatest genius of time, but he was able to tackle it 4 years. Obasanjo met a worse situation that we have now, and the oil was $9 single digit, maybe lower double digit. So it's not, you see, when you come to a refuse bin, a refuse dump, it looks to you with all the dirtiness and everything and all the vectors there, that this refuse can never be cleared. But give a good cleaner 2 days, you can go to that refuse dump and be sleeping there. We will clear this refuse off our front. It is lack of imagination that is worrying this government. The borrowing that they did not need to do the borrowing. But even with all the borrowing and whatever problem they've created for the people, in 1 year we'll clear the desk and clear of that. Because we are experts in turnaround management. If you look at the kind of people you find, we have been confronted with so many crises in life, in private sector, in other things. We know how to turn things around. The problem of government is that the government process is slow, is self-sabotaging, is disorientated. That even this is straightforward, you cannot get the government with a ruler to draw a straight line. Because the people, the hands that will be pushing the government up and down, they will not let them draw a straight line. So when you form a government that is stable, a government in which every member of the cabinet is qualified to be president in their own right, and they are there on merit, they are not there just for accommodation because somebody contributed money to your campaign and now he gives you a minister of finance whom you are seeing for the first time. The way people get to the cabinet, the president meets some of them at the swearing in. If somebody had gone there with a fake ID, the president will swear the person in because he doesn't know the person. So you are having a cabinet in our own of soulmates, of people who understand the issue. So we need to grow our productivity. We need to recognize and bring into a formal sector many of the things that we have been doing informally. So we have a way by which we grow the GDP exponentially within 2 years, to the point where the debt they owe now is insignificant. Also, efficiencies in management of the debt management office, efficiencies in management of the home finance department of Ministry of Finance, in managing the Ministry of Planning itself, in managing the Secretariat of the Economy, which will be which is constitutionally with the Vice President. The efficiency of managing that will eliminate most of these problems. And then the ability of our people to domesticate and devolve many of the decision making to the point where many of the problems that are being solved by the federal government today are problems of local government chairmen and local government councillors. So when we start to make the government work from the grassroots, it's only tertiary problems of medium term and long term that are going to come to the center. And that way, clear thinking is required. Firefighting from inside the villa is not going to work. You are going to run out of energy. And the age and the stage at which people enter the villa is the age where they are already, their body and mind are already used to resting. You cannot take over power when all you have done in the last 10 years of your life is just resting and waiting for the Lord. You enter the villa at the prime of your energy, where you have your best creativity. This thing is draining, it requires time. You must be familiar with the language of commerce now, administration now, technology now. You do not need a whisperer and interpreter for you to understand something as basic as interface with international community, interface with productivity methodologies, interface with coordinating global campaign towards raising resources for your priorities. So you need to have a president who is mentally alert and is emotionally connected to the ordinary person. It should not be a caricature who is just a mascot who is carried around and kept in one house. So it has to be that the president arises from the people, and there's a pulse that the people feel. That's why we are not using the easy way to organize ourselves.
Okay.
Every person you find in NCFront has enough personality and resources to just declare themselves presidential candidates and be going their own way. But this time around, I mean, Party Toby does not need me. Before he declares himself a presidential candidate, and start running his thing. Tanko Yunusa doesn't need me. He's done it before. Peter Ahmed doesn't need me. Toko Fashua doesn't need me. Any of these people, obviously, because they ran before. My mother look and run anytime. So for all these people to come together, Jega has his own merits and wherewithal. He could just declare himself a candidate. He has a party base that can support him. We have decided to say no. Rome is on fire. And we need to put out the fire. Okay. And that's why we are coming together. That's why the system is slow. That's why people are concerned about our politics. That's why people are questioning us. Why are you not taking this more direct route to come to power? No. We are trying to build a coalition that is already confronting the issues in government beforehand. We are not going to get there and say, we did not know things were this tough. We did not know that government was not easy. No. We are dealing with people who are tested professionals, who know that the buck stops at your desk. You do not blame the past government. We can talk now. The moment the third force comes to power, you will not hear Buhari from our mouth. We are not going to remember how to blame the person who was there. Wow. We are not going to hear PDP in our mouth. We are going to be hearing of what we are doing and what we are able to do. Okay. The resources are there, the opportunities are there, the energies are there, and the directions are there, and the philosophy is sound.
Interesting. All right, as we begin to round off, Barrister Adewole, I realized you are the lead speaker for the NCFront when it comes to poverty eradication, and at the same time affirmative action.
Yes.
Now, you followed Nigeria history, especially since the re-emergence of democracy in 1999. You would see that there is a 35% affirmative action, that has been agreed upon, but maybe the PDP followed to some extent. But you see that in this last government, the role of women have been a bit minimal, in governance. How do you intend to, and it seems to be more of a cultural thing, if you agree with me, how do you intend to tackle this? Because one of the most difficult things to change when it comes to people is the culture, and I'm very concerned about that. So I want to ask you, what's your strategy basically for tackling the affirmative action, bringing women, people with disability, and even youth into governance in the NCFront?
We don't have a problem to start with. Poverty is an anathema. We must have an immediate solution to poverty. We have devised policies that will ensure that poverty ends in 1 year. Poverty is not something that you give negotiation to, because poverty has a way of making itself familiar, and people get settled into it. And when we are talking of poverty, it's not about people riding Mercedes in our government. No. Poverty is that food, water, light, housing. And the last leg of poverty eradication is education. So we will make food available. We're not going to use our people for trade war and trade policy, where you can't produce enough food for the people and you ban every food that they eat. But you manage to eat the food anyway, but you ban it from people eating it. And you criminalize any attempt to feed the people. We're not going to allow that. It is ironic that a government will ban importation of rice. But when COVID shutdown started, say, okay, go to the warehouses and give the same rice to the people. So if you knew you didn't have enough rice, why did you ban? That is a wrong-headed approach. If you cannot give people energy, electricity, even solar that is burning for free, how do you want them to get out of poverty? If you cannot give them health care, primary health care that even Babangida got on the path when Olukore and Sokoto was there, you can't even master that now. We need to tackle that so that nobody has to go to the hospital thinking about the money. They should be thinking about the care they're going to get there. If you now can't put every child in school, and those who are in school, you cannot secure them to remain in the school. And those who are in school, relatively secure, you cannot give them quality of education. Then what are you a government for? So these are things we can tackle immediately. Now, then you deal with affirmative action. Our affirmative action is not just a political affirmative action. We have social affirmative action. We have economic affirmative action. We are taking distressed parts of the country and having special programs for them. If you go to Benue State and the east central of Nigeria towards the top of Ebonyi State and Cross River State, that's the poverty capital of Nigeria. Well, we have the least infrastructure. We mentioned those areas. If you go to the northeast, with all the trauma and the crisis they've gone through, that's another section.
I'm sad that time is no longer on our side in this conversation, but I'm definitely going to have you again and again, to have these conversations. I must thank you so much for your time and intelligent contributions on the show today. We look forward actually to the NCFront and what it hopes to do in Nigeria in the coming months, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you very much for the time. I appreciate it.
All right, Nigerians, that's it. The NCFront presenting itself, the lead speaker, Barrister Adewole Adebayo, actually telling us what the NCFront will do for Nigeria in the coming months and the coming years. I hope you're ready. All right, thank you so much for watching today's edition of the Polity. It's been a wonderful time with you all through the week, and thank you for calling in and making your contributions known. We will continue to bring you more interesting subjects of national importance on the program. Thank you so much, and I wish you a very beautiful weekend, and then I'll get to see you again next week. Have a great weekend.